When you get into multiple sports, the identity of the nation gets formed better. There is a focus on trying to create sports to be more inclusive for all. You have to really be ready to push yourself to your limits. So that's what I would say. Just be ready at any point.
Hi, welcome to Beyond the Field, a show where I take you off the sports field and into your favorite teams and events. My name is Nadeem Sheikh and I'm your host. I will be speaking to industry professionals like me and providing you guys a 360-degree view of the thriving sports industry of India. So today, I have with me Siddarth Sabapathy, who's a sports strategist, an entrepreneur. He is a director of Sporko Sports and committee member at Mumbai Football Association. Welcome, Siddarth.
Hello. Thank you, Nadeem. Pleasure to be here.
So, to our viewers, Siddarth is a well-known name in Mumbai and Maharashtra football circuit, and he has a lot of background in football and also with other sports that we are going to reveal in this conversation. Siddarth, firstly, I want you to give our viewers a background of your professional as well as educational.
Sure. So basically, I just used to play football for fun when I was young, probably in my school and college days. I never had any ambitions of taking it professionally, always recreational footballer. Whilst playing football, I realized that there is a lack of structure for the sport, something needed to be done at the grassroots level. And that's how it all started. That's how I got kind of forayed into sports. I spoke with one of my friends who's also my partner in my company right now. His name is Megan. And yeah, correct. And we spoke and we thought that, why don't we start something for the youngsters of our age, probably something, it was more, a bit more selfishly in terms of our own interests. So we thought that, we would want to start something whereby we create some sort of a structure at the grassroots level. So that's how we started with a football league called Ville Premier League. That was my first ever venture into sports. It was a community based youth league which acted as a talent identification platform and a progression pathway for a lot of footballers between the age group, you can say 15 to 20. So this was a small community league that was organized, and then with as in how we progressed through the years, the league started to grow in its size and stature as well. Alongside doing the league, I got an opportunity to work then in a company called Sports Consult, and from there, then I shifted and I worked in the Gujarat government for some time. I came back. I was fortunate enough to get a scholarship through the German consulate to study at Leipzig. I studied sports management there, and I came back and I started my own company called Sporko Sports, which is a sports management company which focuses primarily on creating grassroots structures, models, trying to ensure that we somehow popularize and improve the culture of sport in India. We are working across multiple sports, but football is kind of our forte. And alongside that, I was fortunate enough to do some work for Mumbai Football, and that's how I got into Mumbai Football Association. I got elected as a committee member in the year 2022, and it's a pleasure to be working there and to understand and get opportunities to improve Mumbai sports, especially football. And likewise, I've been part of Maharashtra football right now. Recently, I was the manager for the Maharashtra under 15 team as well as for the Mumbai under 15 team. And also recently, I just became an AIFF certified match commissioner as well. So it's a it's just a journey that is going on. I'm just trying to see how I can contribute to the best of my ability to popularize sport, especially football, at the grassroots level.
Great, great. So I'll just give viewers a context what Ville Parle Premier League is. It was one of the one of the first initiatives to have a community-based football league, and Siddharth has not thrown that much light on it, but it was one of the biggest events in the city, and they had very good sponsors. And do you want to talk about the Bappi Lahiri incident, Papida?
Yeah, I just would put a little bit of light on. Sorry, I just put a little bit of light on that. So basically, as I said, it's a community-based league, Ville Parle Premier League. So we used to create teams locally. There were owners for each team. Players were sold on fictitious points, and there was registration process and a lot of things. So this happened in the year 2011 or 12. I don't recollect right now, but probably 11. It was the finals of our second edition. We had kept a prize money of rupees 25,000, and The match was at 0-0 at halftime. The late Bappi was our chief guest for that particular match. And what happened was the match was kind of a stalemate, both teams playing very defensively, nobody really allowing each other to score. So the crowd had come with the expectation of goals and they wanted, some sort of action. And even Bapida also felt the same. So he was, at the halftime, he gave a speech where he said, you know what, the winning team gets 50,000 rupees from my side, which was a great gesture from him, and nobody really expected that. And what happened was the team that had actually gone back onto the field actually kind of huddled up once again and they started to discuss strategies. And what happened at the end was the score was like a 4-2 or something in the second half. So nearly we saw around 5 to 6 goals in the second half, and that completely like made the game really exciting for the crowd. So yeah, that was one of the you could say incident that we cherish a lot from the league. Other than that, of course, one of the biggest things and the takeaway of the league was the fact that many of the people who worked in the league were all volunteers. It was really heartening to see many youngsters. Now all of them are working professionals, and they all of them used to work in the league absolutely at no remuneration. And even we didn't make any sort of profits from the league. The idea was basically just to create something at the community level. And we were fortunate enough to have been backed by sponsors, being backed by people around us. The league, the last edition of the league happened in the year 2019. After that, we haven't been able to do it because of COVID, and we haven't really restarted the league yet. But now we've gone to trying to create better structures. But as you rightly mentioned, this was our first ever structure that we created in sport, and it is still fondly cherished by a lot of the players and a lot of the owners and a lot of the people who are part of the league at different levels.
And along with other stakeholders, the event was graced by some of the reputed names in the Mumbai football arena. Jayesh Rane was there, Rainier Fernandez was there. So it was a very big event. I want to put forward a question here, Siddharth. You have a very strong background educationally as well because you did sports management from LifeShake. And after coming back, you started working on the grassroots level because after coming back you could have gone to any sports agency or anything in the sports community and got a good job, but you chose to work on the grassroots level. Why so?
I would say particularly I feel that we don't really have people involved that much at the grassroots level here in India. What happens is, especially when you talk about something like for that matter any sport, not just football, even if you talk about a sport like volleyball, cricket, whatever sport, you need to really have a very very good and deep rooted grassroots structure. Somewhere I felt that my you could say my expertise or my knowledge about sport would be better utilized if I can work at a grassroots level. And also personally I found it more you could say more enriching, and you could also say for a fact that it was more exciting for me to work at a grassroots level because I felt the opportunities were immense. It was untapped as a market. The potential of grassroots sports is still unrealized in India. So I really feel that there is a great potential. So that is why I decided to work in the grassroots sport. I really wanted to try to build where it is not yet built. And of course, I mean, what I also see is there is a gap between grassroots and elite sports. Somewhere I wanted to bridge that gap. So that was one of the many reasons that I decided that I would want to invest my time and efforts into building a grassroots structure.
And that is why you came up with Sporko?
Yes. The Sporko is basically sporting kickoff. That's the abbreviation is Sporko, but if you see the full form is sporting kickoff.
Okay.
We wanted to kick off events and activities and tournaments and academies and development centers in sports, and that's why it's called sporting kickoff, Sporko.
So my next question is, I want you to touch upon the history of football in India. The reason for me asking this question is I've spoken to a lot of people, some of my friends, their memory of football starts off with ISL.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we have a very decorated history and I want you to touch upon that.
I mean, we do have a very decorated history. You're right on this part. If you see, for example, India's first ever friendly game, I may be wrong on this, but I'm probably very confident that it was against France in the year 1948, where we lost 2-1. And up until the early 1960, 1970, you could say early 1970s, India were a decent football team at the Asia level. We even did really well at the Asia Cup, and we were part of the 1956 Olympics in Melbourne. And we defeated Australia 4-3, and there are some great folklore stories about Indian football. What happened also was maybe after the 70s and 80s, the focus shifted primarily towards maybe other sports, and also at the same time, there was more, you could say, a focused approach towards academics. So all of these uh, players were involved, and all of the parents, all of them started to ask their children to focus towards academics. Sports kind of took up backseat. But now it's kind of changing again. Sustainability has come in. Families are self-sufficient here in India, so there are parents who are again motivating their children to make a career into sport. And as I think the history will be kind of remade or recreated now in the years to come, and I'm very confident about that. May not be in the next 5 or 6 years, but probably in the next 15 or 20 years, India will again start to reach the heights which they had reached in the early 1950s, 60s, and the 70s.
And why do you think it is important for football to grow in India along with other sports?
So I didn't get the question. Sorry.
So my question is, why is it important for football to grow along with other sports? Because we have cricket and we have Olympic sports that are growing. Why is it important for football to grow according to you?
So, I mean, important as in, I would say, see, it's important for any sport to grow, because if it grows, then of course, once it becomes a scale, there can be possibility of players making a self-sustainable career into it. So there is nothing that I can say it's important or not important. But at the end of the day, for any sport to grow, it is good, because when the sport grows, obviously at a global level, you have put yourself as an identity. So if you see football is being played by around 200 nations across the world, India is around the 100th rank or the 102nd rank. It keeps fluctuating, sometimes 99, sometimes 102. If you're in the top 20, top 30, of course, you're putting an identity on the world map. So India is always seen as a nation which is focused primarily heavily on cricket. But now when it comes into sports like football, and the hockey is also doing really well. So when you get into multiple sports, the identity of the nation gets formed better. We are looked as a sporty nation. And of course, when we are looked at as a sporty nation, the also another factor that comes into play is the health factor. So you see that there is a lot of kids and a lot of youngsters who are now slowly, not having the right dietary habits and all of those things. When they start playing, they start focusing on health as well. And again, at the end of the day, that will really impact them in the right ways, what I feel. So I wouldn't say it is important to grow football, but it is good if we are able to grow multiple sports, and it is critical in a way. And it also helps create more job opportunities. People like you and other people who are passionate about football, who want to contribute apart from being an athlete, it gives them an area where they can work and they can excel, and they can make sure that the next generation or people who want to come, they can have the best of the ability and perform well for the nation. Correct, agree. Yeah. So I want you to discuss the structure of Indian football. You have a strong background with Mumbai football. I want you to attach that and take it up the ladder to ISLs, state league, district league, national league. What you want to talk about? So I'll go really deep down. So first of all, it starts with the under 7, followed by under 9, under 11, under 13, under 15, then the under 17. This is the youth age category tournaments that normally you will find across multiple districts and federations. Followed by, you can, in Mumbai specifically, you can get into the third division, you can go into second, first, super, then elite. And from elite, teams get nominated to take part in the I League third division, I League 3, and then they get into I League 2, then the main I League, and then the ISL. So that's how the pyramid is, or that's how the structure is. Okay. Nice. And what do you think is the impact of ISL? How has it impacted the Indian football circuit? ISL is primarily one of the, you could say, the most professionally run football league up until now. We had National Football League before, the I League before. ISL's been like obviously a boon to Indian football. What it also has kind of inculcated or created is a fan culture in India, which is wonderful and heartening to see. It's also created identity for states in terms of what they can do to promote football in their state. Now with the promotion and relegation coming into play, more and more clubs can be part of the ISL, which is also great to see. Now you see Punjab was the recent addition to the ISL last season. So that is fantastic to see. And all of the ISL clubs have been doing a phenomenal job. They've ensured that there are players who are getting opportunities, they're getting, the right or the decent amount of remuneration to play the sport. And nowadays, youngsters can look up to making a career in football is only because of ISL. So in the last 5 or 6 years, whatever you've seen kind of the growth or the rise in grassroots football, you can attribute it to the ISL. And it is still growing. It still needs a lot of time to become sustainable. The clubs need to be sustainable still. Most of the clubs aren't sustainable yet in the ISL. So once clubs become more sustainable, once more and more people start viewing more and more matches, Of course, there will be more broadcast value into ISL, and in turn, of course, the clubs will benefit out of it. And once the clubs become more sustainable, at the end of the day, ISL will keep growing. So we all have to hope, wish, and pray that the ISL keeps growing. More and more clubs get attached to it. More and more regions get covered. And if that does happen, then of course the broadcast value and there will be a rise in that, and that will again, as I said, attribute to the clubs getting sustainable, and then again grassroots getting sustainable. So it's like a chain.
Absolutely, I completely agree with you. And in if you look at the Indian geography, what football does is it attaches geographies. For example, what I mean to say is some teams from Northeast they participate in football. A team like Real Kashmir coming out of Jammu and Kashmir, a sensitive area, it gives them a mindset and a scope of area that we want to work here,
Sure.
and that they can accelerate and come into the ISL. And this is what I think cricket is lacking. Like in the smaller pockets, it's not growing that much, but football has tremendous opportunity to grow.
I mean, I wouldn't really kind of compare football with any other sport, to be honest. It's a different structure altogether. There's a different ideology behind the game altogether. So, I mean, as you said rightly, it's great. There is a structure getting formed. It's great. There is a lot of focus right now on grassroots sports talent. Pathway progression is being created from grassroots to the elite. And all of this will only keep growing over the years to come.
And I want to ask, what are the grassroots initiatives that have been taken by the clubs?
One of the biggest grassroots initiative taken by Mumbai Football Association over the last many years is the Yuva President League, which is being done very phenomenally well by the association and the members there. Lot of the clubs have come in. You can see there is a focus on not just boys football, also girls as well. Under 14, under 17 girls are becoming part of the game. So there is a focus on trying to create sports to be more inclusive for all. And also at the same time, you see the number of clubs have kind of exponentially risen over the last many years at the grassroots level. So there is, you could say, the association is actually trying to motivate or actually trying to encourage more and more owners and more people to start their own clubs in the structured way. And then again, if you see, the AIFF has also had done a lot of coach licensing programs and referee licensing programs over the many years. So we are actually educating coaches, educating referees. All of this will only contribute to a more robust and a more strong grassroots structure.
Right. You spoke about AIFF. So what comes to my mind is the team called Indian Arrows, which were earlier Pylon Arrows, but now it has escaped off. But that was a good initiative that was taken by AIFF. You want to touch upon that?
Uh, Again, this very good initiative. Maybe for multiple reasons, it didn't continue. It is critical, as you know, more than I feel, more than creating an Indian Heroes, it's important that the clubs have it as part of their key areas of responsibility, that they actually promote the youth and develop talent from their youth teams to their senior teams. So all of the ISL clubs and all the I League clubs have teams in the under 13 and under 15 junior and sub junior leagues. So it's very critical that they actually groom their talent in the right way, so that most of their players who are part of their youth teams actually then get a contract with the senior team. So if they're able to plan that better, obviously there will be more value. I think that needs to be more focused on, instead of just creating maybe a separate team altogether for a youth setup.
And what do you think is the major difference in football culture in India versus the rest of the world? It is that the structure are well organized. Is it that they have better investments, or what is it like?
It's the culture. That's the biggest difference, to be honest. The culture across, for anywhere in the continent, for example, in Europe or in South America, for football is uh, extremely high. There is a lot of fan following. It's voracious, the crowd. Likewise, in India, it's for cricket. You see the fact that stadiums are full. People are ready to pay any amount of money for buying tickets, and there is this culture for the game. So it's all down to culture. So if the culture for the sport in India can be improved, if the culture for the sport of football can be increased over years, again you will see the same amount of fan following that's anywhere across the world. So I don't think it's down to structures or something like that. It's down to culture. And also another thing that we lack here is, you could say, open playgrounds, which is another issue which I have been addressing a lot of times whenever I've been on any podcast show, is about the fact that we don't really have enough playgrounds. Even if there are playgrounds, it's not accessible and affordable for a lot of the people to play on. So you will see there will be a playground, but they will have already somebody playing kabaddi there, someone playing some other cricket game, somebody's playing football. It's very difficult to play in that sort of a atmosphere, in that sort of a locality. So it's very critical that you have the government earmarking playgrounds for every sport. It becomes more easier to build that culture, and it all comes down to that. So if you were in school and you would have probably played your first sport is only because you had accessibility to that particular playground. So if there are football fields in every school, it becomes more easier for a child to even think about playing the sport. So it all comes down to that. So if what I would want to say again is about the fact that everyone starts playing their first sport at school. It is more down to the fact to what kind of playground is accessible to them. So if I have a tennis court in my school, it's easier for me to pick up tennis as a sport. Likewise, if there is a football court in my school, it's easier for me, or a football field in my school, it's easier for me to pick up football as a sport. So that is the most critical thing. It's the culture more than anything else that is far, far well developed across in different countries as compared to India.
Great point. I want to touch upon the investments that are coming in into sports. How has that influenced football?
So investment, as in, if you could just
Yeah, so we have
elaborate.
Reliance Foundation, Reliance RFIS called Reliance Foundation Youth Sports. We have the Tata Steel coming up with a team called Jamshedpur FC. So now there is entire periphery that corporates are coming in into sports and taking up initiatives. So what are your thoughts on that?
Very critical, isn't it? Because you will need that sort of partnership between the public and private corporations. Again, it's great to see that Tata and Reliance and all these big wigs are taking interest in developing sport because they also know the power of sport. Because the power of sport is enormous, everyone knows and everyone understands about that. So it's great to see corporates coming in, and it is something that needs to continue. I just hope that they continue because I remember that there were many other corporates also who came in many, many years ago, and I don't want to name, but there were many corporates who came in and they felt that sport wasn't sustainable, so they also exited. So it's very important that corporates continue, but at the same time, the structure needs to ensure that they have a sustainable model, because the corporates would only like to invest if they see that there is light at the end of the tunnel. So they need to, I mean, we need to create a structure, the association, the federation, the people involved, the league organizers need to create a sustainable structure through which they ensure that the corporations or the companies that come in have value for their money. And also one of the great things that has come in is a lot of the activities of sport comes under the CSR radar. So that is also very good for many companies who come in. They can, try to create some sort of an entity in sport using CSR as a medium. So that is also something that is exciting to see.
Okay. Do you think international collaborations help grow sport in India? So recently, I think Thane City FC collaborated with Southampton. We have Borussia Dortmund that signed up with Hyderabad FC. Do you think such kind of initiatives can help grow football?
It depends completely, to be very honest. So there are two sides to a coin, to be honest. So if you see, for example, uh, in a way it does, in a way it doesn't. Again, depends on what are the areas that you're actually looking to create your partnership all about. So for example, if it's about educating coaches, it's about educating referees, it's about educating your players, making them better, yes. But if it is only about, say, for example, branding or just, sending a few players abroad on a cultural trip and making money out of it, I don't think that should be the only objective of creating such sort of partnerships. So again, phenomenal work by Thane City FC to get something like Southampton. It's a grassroots club, to get someone who has been at the top echelons of the English Premier League, to get them on board is a phenomenal thing. Again, now it completely depends on how they kind of fruitify this partnership in the years to come. So, as I said, it completely depends on what is your objectivity out of the partnership. If the objectivity is to develop the players and to get knowledge and know-how from these kind of clubs, then of course it is very, very worthful or exciting. But if that is not the case, then you need to really look at developing or designing the partnership in such a way that it is worthy or it is good.
Okay. So my next question revolves around the fans of India, fans of football in India. I think we have certain pockets like West Bengal, Goa, and the Southern Belt that are heavily into football. But there are other regions that are coming up who are interested in football. Do you want to touch upon that?
Yes, so maybe see, fans are a critical part of whatever you do. If you're starting a football league, if you're starting a club, if you're even just starting a local community team, you need fans, because fans are the heartbeat of a team. So if there are no fans, nobody's really going to support. The players are not going to give their best. There is not going to be any entry fees, gate, whatever. No, the club doesn't really get formed at all. So at the end of the day, the fans form a key part of a club. There are many fan supporters club and fan bases for each team that they have created. Again, engagement wise, I think the fans haven't really got what they deserve. They need to be treated in a more better way is what I personally feel. You need to probably create fan zones and really need try to create fan meetings, which some of the clubs are doing. So again, it's something that is in a very nascent stage, in a very early stage in India. It's not as developed as again some of the European football clubs. You don't really have like this set of people who are extremely, you could say it's not a huge number right now. There are a set of limited number of people who are fans of clubs. Others are mostly fans of the sport. So you need to kind of differentiate between fan of the sport and fan of the club. So it will take time, but again you see that even the Premier League clubs have a lot of fan base. The La Liga clubs have a lot of fan base in India. So there is the culture of fans, but yet at the ISL level it's not grown to that level. So maybe in the years to come more you need history, because even if you see somebody like a Manchester United have been there for so many years, that's why they have a huge fan base now. So a club which is part of the ISL will take time to build that sort of fan base, and you have to accept that.
So I'm a very big fan of Mumbai City FC. I hold a season pass, and I'm part of this West Coast Brigade fan club. It is at a nascent stage, but I think they are big to contribute. They have flares lit up when the players arrive. They have the chants, they create banners and everything. I think they are just growing year on year, and
Sure.
this will help gain momentum, and football will is growing, and it will add on to that. We have like Mumbai City also have a fan base. We have West Coast, I think West Block Blues with Bengaluru. We have Manjapada people from
Okay.
Kerala, very dedicated. And one of the things that I've observed at the Mumbai Football Arena is the stadium is full when there are fans coming out for the away team rather than a home team. The stadiums get full when there are like teams coming in like Kerala or Mohan Bagan, Goa for that matter. So I want to appeal to people of Mumbai. We are two people, like we have a population of 2 crore and the stadium is 6,000, 7,000 capacity. Ticket prices are
Why
also
do you
110.
support Mumbai City FC? What is the reason behind it?
Because I support all sports teams from Mumbai. Mumbai Indians, Mumbai City FC, U Mumbai.
There is something that would have probably lured you to support or attracted you to support Mumbai.
I am from Mumbai. I have to support Mumbai. I have to support Mumbai. Irrespective of the performance, it has to be Mumbai for me. For me. If you're from some other state or some other region, you support that, you have my respect. But I have to support Mumbai City only. Across teams, across sports, my fan base is
So
with
which is
Mumbai City.
surely one way to look at it, to be
Yeah.
honest, where you belong to a certain region and you have affinity to that club because you belong to that. So I'm from Mumbai, I also support Mumbai City FC. But also for a fact that what also one needs to understand is that also needs to be another different factor to look at is, for example, the way they play, their philosophy, the style of play, what they're doing, how are they formed as a club, and all of those things also contribute to creating fans. So then only you have a global fan base. Like if you see, I don't even belong to in Premier. I support Chelsea in the English Premier League, for example. Why do I support Chelsea? It's because of the fact that when I grew up, I saw them playing some wonderful game on television, and I felt that there was something that I liked about them. It just clicked. So likewise, I don't even belong to Chelsea. So again, if Mumbai City also in the long run would want to create a larger fan base across, say, India, that can only be done through probably the way they play and how they behave as a club. So that's something which not just Mumbai City, for example, any other club in the world across. So these are different factors, and it's good to see that you're supporting a club from the region you belong. And even it's the same with me. I am from Mumbai too, so I too support Mumbai City. But again, it's important that more and more people get involved and more people support it. And at the same time, the club also has a more open dialogue with its supporters, and it also wants to understand how it can best engage its fan base. That's also very critical.
They have to take feedbacks and move forward and create content and align everything that they push people to come to the stadium, watch the match, they get engaged, and then they have to retain them.
Correct.
Yeah. So I think we had a good conversation around fans. We'll speak about the infrastructure. I think you touched upon that earlier, but I want you to touch in brief. What is the structure like infrastructure like in India? Is it good, bad? Is it growing? What are your thoughts?
when you talk about infrastructure, it completely matters at what level are you looking at it. Like for example, if you look at the grassroots level, it is about just creating enough playgrounds. It doesn't necessarily need to be a world class facility. It just can be a small playground with a football, goal post and changing room and maybe a little bit of place or a seating area. But when you talk about an international level infrastructure, that's what we did for FIFA Under 17 World Cup. It was amazing. We actually have hosted two World Cups, right? Under 17 FIFA World Cup for men and boys, and under 17 FIFA World Cup for the women's recently. So that is one of the key, you could say that it actually is an indicator of the fact that we are ready to host events of a world stage. Likewise, only thing, as I said, we are lacking still that infrastructure ability at a grassroots level. That needs to be worked on, and that can only be done if the government gets involved in it.
Again on the same point regarding the infrastructure, I think recently we had the Al Hilal team coming in from Saudi. It was because of my team, like Mumbai City FC, that we had some
You
Asian
still
giants.
go if Neymar didn't play like most.
Yeah,
of
I
them.
went.
I know you did.
Yeah, but the sad part for me is like it's a Mumbai City home match, and there are people chanting for Al Hilal. People coming in, but what I liked about that is, there are people who are enthusiastic about soccer, and we filled up the stadium. It was 35,000 capacity. 30,000 people came in. They came in to watch the other team, but I want them to come and watch our home matches as well, because you are interested in football. You should watch this also, and then try and understand what they are trying to do, because it is because of their team that you got to witness a very strong team and a invincible team coming in from Saudi.
We need to really comprehend and understand why do they do that.
Yeah.
It's not because of the fact that they don't like Mumbai. It's because of the fact that they feel Al Hilal plays a more interesting and exciting brand of football. That is one of the reasons why they must be supporting Al Hilal. I'm not trying to justify why they do that, but I'm just trying to state reasons on what could be going on in their mind to support Al Hilal over Mumbai City. That is one of the primary reasons, because you have got players like Kolibali, and you've got players in the midfield, you've got a striker, Mitrovic, and you've got that sort of talent there, which they know that it is exciting. Even tomorrow, if Mumbai City also starts playing that sort of exciting brand of football, maybe Mumbai City wins against Al Hilal, they continue to play. This is the only time they've played. This is the first time they've ever played at the AFC Champions League at this stage. Maybe if they continue to play at this stage over the next 40 years, 30 years, you will surely see people supporting Mumbai City over Al Hilal. It's going to happen. It does happen. If you see, for example, growing up in cricket, many of my friends used to support, say, the Australian cricket team because they used to win. They used to really feel, okay, India is great, I support them, but Australia is the best. Now, if you see, for example, the Indian cricket team is as good as any other team in the world, and they're better than most of the teams. So there isn't much of a difference between us and the Australian team. So likewise, if you see, the difference has been kind of has declined over the years. Likewise, in football also, if they continue to keep playing against the top nations, against the top clubs, the difference between that club and our club will decrease. And once that happens, people will also start supporting our club, whatever you've dreamt and whatever we dream of in terms of increasing that support will happen. Because most of them would want to associate themselves with winners. That's unfortunately, or that's the mindset which fans have. All the fans want to be with teams that win. So if you see the number of fans, like in the Premier League itself, right? You've got new clubs that keep coming in every year who are backed by investment. And then you have fan bases that get created for those clubs, which could not have really that much of an history, but because they win. So again, there is this focus on fans, trying to align themselves with clubs that win. We can't really completely erase that thought process. It's going to be there. So at the end of the day, only what we can try to do is we can see how we as a club can start winning more games, start becoming more and more better with the brand of football we play. One of the best examples is of this club, called Leeds United, who play this exciting brand of football. They necessarily don't win. They got relegated though, but again, they played exciting. So most of the people used to like the way they play. They used to always, switch on TV when Leeds used to play. Likewise, when Brighton plays these days, people actually like to play and watch that. So I like to watch that kind of a sport. So again, either you play an exciting brand of sport, or you try to kind of win every game out, whatever, be a champion.
Good point. Yeah. My next question is around the association or the federation. So what are they looking at in terms of adding to football. I think you have been associated with Mumbai Football Association. What are the steps that Mumbai Football Association is taking, and the AIFF and other stakeholders?
So I can't speak much about AIFF because I'm not involved there. I'm involved with Mumbai Football Association. I think we've done a lot of work in the last many years. The process or whatever we are trying to kind of create in the association. But again, it's a slow process. It will take time. Whatever we did 5 years ago is now starting to bear fruits. So we are trying to build structures at the grassroots level, build structures at the youth football level. We are trying to make the second division, the third division, the first division, the elite division become more and more better. Recently, we did a small trophy launch for the elite division, men's senior division. We're trying to get broadcasting for games. We are trying to do a lot of changes. It will take time. Our president is Mr. Ajay Dakre. We are backed by key members in the association. We've got Mr. Ajit Sawant, who's been doing great work. We've got Mr. Sudhakar Rane, who's the secretary, who's been doing phenomenal work. We've got a team. Henry Picardo is a former international footballer. We've got a lot of key people who are part of our team. We've got Suzanne Madam, who's having great passion for the game. So we've got so many minds now involved, and it's always going to create a better, you could say, a structure whenever there are so many people involved. Many people, Ryan and Farhan, so many people are involved, and it is all of these minds when they come together will surely have a a better structure for the game. And the good thing is we are all on one page, and that is very helpful. And we are backed by the fact that we all have the same passion for the game. So we are all on the same page. We all want to develop the game. So as I said, the association is finally having people who are actually there for the love and the passion of the game. Mr. Banerjee, who's been there for so many years, he's also been a big pillar of the fact that the football's grown over many years. So again, we've created a set of staff who are working now, and they are also, these are full-time paid staff who are part of the Mumbai Football Association. They are also trying to kind of put their intellectual, the knowledge behind it and trying to improve the game. So they are trying to do whatever we can.
Nice. You touched upon Mumbai Football Association. Recently, I read an article where the way legendary Arsene Wenger was in Mumbai, was in India, and Odisha government and AIFF tied up to set up a youth academy in Odisha. So that is another step that they are taking, the AIFF, and trying to boost sport. My next question is, what role does media coverage play in order to grow sports? You talked about you're trying to get broadcasters in. I want you to speak on that.
So 100% media coverage is the key, because if you view the sport on TV, or if you view that's how fans get created. That's how consumption happens. If broadcast is there, sponsors will come in. Sponsors come in. It's a chain. Sustainability comes in. So I don't really see that there is any negative point about having broadcast on board. So broadcast is a key component. It's only going to ensure that the sport reaches to more and more people across India, and that's going to be a big factor.
Okay. And our podcast is about people, who are potential aspirants who want to join the sports industry, and there will be people who will specifically want to join the football industry. So we want you to give them an idea as to what are the roles and what are the opportunities that they can get into in order to be associated with sports.
So, in terms of this, I would like to break it into two parts. First is, of course, being a player. That's primarily many people who actually get into sport actually come with first aspiration of being a player. If you're not having the potential or the ability to be a player, or if you're not able to really grow up the ranks, then there is always an option of working in the management field. You can be a part of football as a sports manager. You can be part of the broadcasting team, the operations, marketing. There are multiple ways in which you can be part of the association. You can work there. You can be part. You can actually do some degree in sports medicine. You can be part of sports science. It's the branches are enormous again. There are many sports management colleges that are coming up over the last many years. So there are multiple opportunities that are there now in the field of sport. Again, I would request all viewers and youngsters, don't get into sports because it's lucrative or it's glamorous or it's exciting. Get into it because you want to really create a change. That should be one of your key motivating factors to come into sport. Is how can I come into this game and change and create a value for that game? Then money and then everything will follow. But if you get into this only because it's glamorous, I would want to have lunch with Sunil Chetri and dinner with Sandesh Singh, then If that is your focus on getting into the game, then I would say that avoid. You don't really need to get, because that may not even happen, because many of the youngsters that who actually come into sport these days are actually coming into it because of the glamour quotient that's involved with sport. So I would say that that is not the only reason that you need to come into it. Come into it because you really want to create a difference, and it's going to be a lot of work at the grassroots level. It necessarily always isn't going to be glamorous. Many of the times you will be under swelting, hot conditions, standing on a ground for about 12 or 13 hours in a day, working on a grassroots level event, and then going back home and then again coming back the next day to only work for another 12 hours. And you may not even be paid that much amount of money to do that. So this is all going to be part of your learning experience when you go through sport. Many of them are not able to take it because their idea or their perception of sport is different from what they're actually served at the end of the day. So I would just say be ready for it mentally, have that mental fortitude. If you really want to get into sport, come into it with the fact that it's going to be a lot of work at the grassroots level. It's not going to be that glamorous, it's not going to be that lucrative. If you're able to go through this grind successfully, then there is a possibility that you may reach the height that you would want to reach in the years to come.
Absolutely, I completely agree with you because I had this experience when I was doing sports management. It was the first year of Yuva President League, and I was there as a volunteer.
Oh,
It was me, Naman,
oh, Naman, acha.
yeah, all
I
of these
remember
guys,
that.
yeah. And your team at Sporko also, they are just very enthusiastic about sport. Be it say Jay, Chintu, Kedar, all of these guys are very passionate about sports, and as you said, the monetary benefits will come at a later stage. But firstly, you have to be passionate, and secondly, you have to be ready to grind it out and forget the weekends because you have to be working on weekends.
And there are so many people that I have observed in the last many years. There are people who are actually working but still want to contribute to the game on a weekend, contribute to how they can actually try to promote sport. It's really heartening to see, and they do this only because of their will and passion that they want to do something for the sport. So there are many people. Only thing is we need to find those people and get them and actually talk to them and understand how they can contribute. They also would want to know. So if there are people that you know of, we'll be happy to see how we can initiate any sort of conversation with them to work and improve the sport.
Absolutely. We are talking about people off the field, but my next question is how important is it to create role models for any sport to grow, not just football?
And while growing up, everyone has had a role model. Like, there's no one who would, everyone would lie if they say that they don't have anyone in sports they don't look forward to, except somebody who doesn't watch sports at all. He may have a role model in some other field or sector. So, role models are extremely key for any young star or anyone, even for me or for anyone else. They always
Who's
have.
your role model while growing up?
Growing up, I could say that I had multiple role models, but of course, someone I really adored and looked up to was Rahul Dravid, because I was following a lot of cricket when growing up. Even in football was Baichung Bhutia, but in cricket specifically was Rahul Dravid because I felt that not just his behavior on field but off field was really beautiful to watch, and he's someone that I looked up to as a player. And of course, somebody from an Indian perspective, I used to like Leander Pace a lot in tennis, and I felt that he was someone who put the Indian tennis on a global scene. But again, said that it's critical to have role models, and it's critical to have the right role model also for players. Because if you have someone who is having the right behavior on and off the field, that is very important. Now, today, one of the things that I always often see is that many of the youngsters have role models like a Cristiano Ronaldo, right? Many of them don't actually see the hard work which Ronaldo puts in at his training schedule. So this is something that is not seen. Everyone looks at his glamour quotient and he sees his Instagram page, his views, and his his followers, and the brands that he get associated with, and all of those things. But what I really feel is inspiring about Ronaldo is the amount of hard work he does. Likewise, people who follow Messi also don't really understand the amount of work which Messi does to be where he is. So this is something that I would request maybe youngsters and aspiring footballers to actually look at the hard work that goes into being behind a Messi or being a Ronaldo. It's insane. You can't really count it. So end of the day, if you really look at it, many of them don't look at it. That's the point.
So I was going to move on with the next question, but I'll just speak on this point. When I was growing up, I was a big fan of, like everybody, I like to follow Sachin Tendulkar. But in recent times, I've followed Virat Kohli. not only for his performance on the pitch, but what goes on off the pitch as well.
100%.
His fitness routine, his eating routine, his sleeping routine. When understand this, when the toss happens in a cricket match, a lot of times the captain used to say, "We want to follow the process. I like to follow the process. We stick to the process." And earlier, I do not used to understand कि क्या बोल रहा है यार, तो cricket खेल के बता ना. But now recently I have taken up distance running, so I do practice and I understand that it is more important to do stuff that goes off the field. What you eat, how you sleep, and what are your training regimes. So these are the things that add on, and then when you perform at the pitch, that accelerates, and that everything comes around that time.
Totally. Even if I can do 10% of what Virat Kohli does, I'll be happy, man.
Yeah.
But it's difficult.
Absolutely. Siddarth, I think we've spoken broadly on football and other sports, and I think you have background in other like volleyball as well. I wanted to touch upon your experience at Ahmedabad Defenders.
So Ahmedabad Defenders is something that's very close to my heart. It's part of Prime Volleyball League, which was a league started by Baseline in the year 2018, and now it's having more than 9 teams this year participating. There's a new team that's Delhi that's coming. Volleyball is another sport that's very exciting and beautiful to watch. It's very quick, it's very fast, it's exhilarating. Uh, Prime Volleyball has got the best of the talent which India has right now. If you see whichever players who are part of the Asian Games right now, 2022, which happened, most of the players were part of the Prime Volleyball League.
Okay.
The winning team that played against South Korea, which we won. Most of the players who took part in that are part of the Prime Volleyball League. Our team specifically has players like Muthuswamy, Angamuthu, Manoj, Nandagopal, Sean T. John. These are some really big names in the volleyball circuit. We won the league last year. We played some quality volleyball. We defeated Bangalore Torpedoes in the final last year. It was great to be part of the team as a manager for the team. I actually learned a lot in terms of it's very similar. The values and the philosophy is the same across every sport. So whatever that is, you could say holds true for football is the same that holds true for volleyball as well. So there's not much of a difference in terms of thought processes. It's a team sport. The values and the philosophy remains the same. Only things that change are rules. So again, this is an exciting version of volleyball. It's a 15-point version. Unlike the 25.1, there is a super point. There are a lot of things that are into the game. So it's very exciting. It's beautiful to watch. It was live on Sony. This year again, it's going to restart again. I mean, the third edition is going to commence from February 18th or 17th, around that time. So it's again going to be a month-long edition, and it's a wonderful edition in terms of the number of leagues that are mushrooming for other sports like Kho and Kabaddi and Panja and multiple other leagues. Likewise, now it's a league for volleyball, and that too in a professionally run way. So it's something that is wonderful to see. And we are a team that's based out of Gujarat called Ahmedabad Defenders, and we have been growing in stature every year. In the first edition we reached the finals. Second edition we were the champions, and we recently played in the World Championship. So we became the first ever club from India to participate in the World Championships. India hosted the World Championship for volleyball. 6 teams from across the world participated in it. There was a team from Italy, from Japan, from 2 teams from Brazil, 1 team from Turkey, and then 1 team that's our team, that's Ahmedabad Defenders, who took part in it. We necessarily didn't have a wonderful campaign. We lost, unfortunately, but it was a great experience because this was the first time that there was a club from India taking part in a tournament that is the biggest tournament at the club level, which is the World Championships for volleyball. So it just would grow, and India is also going to host the next World Championship edition as well. That's going to happen in Chennai. So that's something that's going to be exciting as well.
So this is going to happen after 4 years?
No, it's going to happen next year. The World Club Championships keep happening every year.
Every year. Okay. Nice. And I saw Ahmedabad Defenders play. Although they lost, but that is fine. They represented our country. They played some fabulous volleyball. It is just that in crunch moments we could not make it. But that is part of the game, and I am very proud of them. If you rub shoulders with teams from Brazil and all, I think you will have an amazing experience, understand how they play, and it is just fantastic to watch. I think we have come up to our ultimate questions before we move on to the rapid fire round. I want you to give one advice to a person coming up in the sports industry.
So advice is something I would say. I mean, I'm not someone who is, not yet that grown to that level to really be honest to give an advice to anyone. But there's only one thing I would say is it's not all bed of roses. It's something that you have to really grind. There is a lot of work in sport. Be ready to do that, and always be ready to push yourself. And it's a lot of work. So be ready for that. That's all I would say. Be mentally ready. Like it's on the field. If you want to win, you have to give your best, your 100%. It's the same off the field. You have to really be ready to push yourself to your limits. So that's what I would say. Just be ready at any point.
Great. And one advice that you have received that helped you in your professional life?
Um, I would say one of the advices I received was probably very early on in my career was about the fact that just don't stick to one sport. You have to learn and understand how can you kind of uh, recreate the same values and philosophies into other sport and understand about that. Try to develop as much as possible. At the same time, if you're sticking to one sport, understand what kind of value you can create in that sport. So it was very helpful for me to know that why am I into this sport? It's actually kind of asking questions to yourself. So I keep asking questions to myself each time I'm into some sport. How can I best contribute to that particular game? So that was something as an advice I received very early on in my career.
Nice, nice, nice. Very good advice. I think we've gone through some serious conversations. We've touched upon fans, infrastructure, various stakeholders. Now I think it is time for the rapid fire to come up. We'll do the rapid fire now, Siddharth.
Sure.
Siddharth, it is time for the rapid fire. We'll start off with the first question. One word to describe your professional journey so far.
Right. Stay wholesome.
Favorite sports moment till now?
Is about India lifting the 2011 Cricket World Cup, which I saw in the stadium.
Okay. Nice.
And also the Indian national team. I recently saw a clip on the Olympics channel about India defeating Australia 4-3 in the Olympics, and I saw level this is a hat trick, and I was really inspired by that.
Nice.
So yeah.
Best sports documentary you've watched?
I think it's the movie which I watched was about this about the American basketball scenario. I don't recollect the name of the movie, I've forgotten, but it's about the fact that there is this player who's been scouted from Spain or some other country, and
I know that.
I saw it on Netflix recently.
He's a guy from Spain, and it is an ex-athlete from
who was an agent
US.
before,
Yeah, and he picks him up. I've gone through the. I don't recollect
you
the
can
name.
put that in the
Yeah.
video. I don't remember the name of the movie. I can reshoot it, but
No
that was
problem, no
probably
problem. We'll do that. Okay, favorite sports personality to follow on social media?
two of them. One, Sunil Chetri, I like his account. It's sometimes exciting, and then Ravichandran and Ashwin, because I feel it's very insightful into the sport. His YouTube channel is very
Yeah. So in our earlier episodes, we had covered, we have these athletes coming into content and growing in themselves. One book that has had a significant impact in your life?
Rafa story.
Okay. If you could switch careers for a day, what would you choose?
Sports.
Athlete.
Still be in sports.
Athlete.
Something in sports. I don't know what, but something in sports. Nothing else.
Okay. What's your proudest professional achievement so far?
Proudest being two things. One being the manager for the Maharashtra team recently. Another one was probably about the fact that I was the commentator for one of the Indian matches, the under 17 girls games that happened. So
Okay. Nice. One word to describe the future of Indian football?
exciting.
Okay. If you were to be associated with any football team in the world, which would you choose and why?
I would choose the Indian national team
Okay.
because that's probably the largest glory that I would want to do, and maybe at the World Cup, if I'm part of it in some way. That's a dream.
Okay. One of the most difficult question, most underrated footballer in the ISL?
Underrated footballer in ISL is probably, I would say, you can say now there is this player from Odisha called Nanda
Nanda Kishore. East Bengal.
Yeah.
Very exciting, very fast. And I want to add Apuya, number 45, Mumbai City is also very exciting. He's not
Very
underrated,
excited.
very exciting.
But not underrated. Apu is someone
Everybody knows, yeah. And I think he has the skill set for European leagues as well. You know, he's a player to watch out. Favorite football commentator?
Martin Taylor
Okay.
and Peter Drury.
Peter Drury. Yeah. We had Vishnu earlier in our episode. He spoke about Peter Drury and Jim Beglin. We covered
Jim Beglin as well. He's
Yeah.
also very good.
yeah, sports commentary. If you were to change one thing in the current Indian football culture, what would it be and why?
Focus more on grassroots sports. I would want more and more people to get involved into grassroots sports because that is, as I said, the most critical part. What do I mean by that is about the fact that understanding how they can contribute. I would want the elite clubs to have more open conversation and communication on how they can improve grassroots. And whatever we can do to promote the culture of sport. I just want people to just come out and play. And we just need to see how we can do that in the best way possible.
Best football match you've witnessed till now?
Best football match I
Yeah.
witnessed till now? Any match?
Any
Any
match.
match? Maybe witnessed in the stadium or witnessed at home?
Anything
Okay.
you want.
So I support Chelsea, and that probably was the Chelsea Bayern Munich UEFA Champions League game, which
Drogba
I
header.
Drogba header.
Yeah, I still remember.
The
Even I
final.
am a Chelsea fan. I watched that at like 2 o'clock in the night, and everybody got up. Kya hua? I had 2 slaps, but I could take that.
My family can
was-
be accepted it that I have
Acha.
so it's fine. But it's probably Chelsea's game, and
Yeah.
of course I think one of the other games was the Indian team that won the Nehru Cup, which was a final against Cameroon, I think, so probably which was also very exciting to watch.
Your favorite football memory involving Indian football?
Involving Indian football, again the one India versus Cameroon
Cameroon.
final in Nehru Cup.
Okay. I think we had an absolute amazing conversation. I hope you had a great time with us. I think that is it from our side. Hit the like button and the subscribe button and keep watching Beyond the Field. Thank you.